Hey guys, welcome in the Rover. Got on my Giants gear tonight. A lot of people might be questioning, why you don't wear a lot of Giants gear. And tonight, it's a good time to wear Giants gear. It's Eagles week. I'm excited. I wanted to talk about Pat Shurmur. I wanted to talk about the press conference. There's been a lot of Giants coverage on here. And rightfully so. It's an interesting team. The Odell Beckham comments were interesting. So I'm going to talk about Pat Shurmur right now. Pat Shurmur became the New York Giants head coach Sunday afternoon in Carolina. When he said finito to the drama, Pat Shurmur was flawless in that press conference. It was absolutely excellent. What Pat Shurmur did is he described the game. He was fiery. He was pissed off. He was totally irked with the way that the game went and to be 1-4. And a lot of other coaches would say, it's a moral victory. It's a moral victory. A lot of coaches would say we're happy with the way the guys fought back. We can build on this, build into next week. And, there were a lot of good things. And the thing that Pat Shurmur said, Pat Shurmur came out, he was livid. He was livid that the punt return went off Odell's leg. He's getting pissed off at the media asking him about drama. He's fed up. And the thing with Ben McAdoo is that Ben McAdoo would never address drama at all. He thought that drama was not even... He thought personal relationships were not even important to discuss at all. Ben McAdoo in the previous regime thought that personal relationships just didn't matter at all. The way that people felt, it was all about execution, and, it wasn't about the locker room dynamic. But Pat Shurmur seems to be, he seems to be dialed into what this locker room's all about. And Pat Shurmur handled it beautifully. He protected Beckham in the way that he said that everything that I say to Odell Beckham is private between me and him. That was very mature. He said, go talk to Odell if you have any comments on the questions. But he said the locker room took care of it. And the great news about what Dave Gettleman did is Dave Gettleman brought in a lot of veterans. Alec Ogletree only might be 26 or 27, but he's one of the most mature players in the NFL, and the Giants brought him in. The Giants brought in Nate Solder, that also has played a lot of football. Jonathan Stewart is a veteran on the team. So the Giants, Kareem Martin is a linebacker that has played a lot of football. So the Giants clearly value veteran presences. And these guys in the locker room now are going to have to deal with, the Beckham interview where he did go rogue. He went rogue. It wasn't a scheduled ESPN interview. So the people that are jumping on Josina Anderson and ESPN for scheduling the interview, it was Odell's idea to get it out into the public eye. I didn't like him airing the Giants' dirty laundry. You guys can find that in my video that I said about Odell Beckham Jr. and that, I wanted to trade Odell Beckham Jr. And I still feel that way. But this is about Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur was fantastic in the post-game presser. And also Pat Shurmur, I had two question marks about Shurmur. Shurmur showed no emotion in the first few press conferences. I'm not going to say it was as bad as Ben McAdoo, because McAdoo was a straight-up kind of jerk to the media, and he was a jerk to everybody. But Pat Shurmur, he was respectful to the media, but yet he didn't have that fire. Pat Shurmur's not the head coach that's going to get in front of your team, and he's not going to be a guy that can that can really motivate a team with a great speech. So when I look at the New York Giants, and I look at everything that is going on right now with this team, Pat Shurmur needed to say that speech. Pat Shurmur, I think, bought himself 3 years with that. Because Pat Shurmur, he cut Davis Webb, whatever, I was upset. I was a Webb guy, but I'm right back on the Shurmur bandwagon now. The reason I was starting to get really frustrated was that the play calling was awful. We weren't stretching the field, and in Minnesota, Pat Shurmur didn't do that. When Pat Shurmur was with the Philadelphia Eagles, he would not stretch the field either. And Pat Shurmur, I didn't know if he had the ability to run a franchise in terms of offense and really have a balanced offense in the passing game where you are throwing the ball deep, where it is dynamic. Because Pat Shurmur, he liked the check down quarterbacks. When he had Brandon Weeden in Cleveland, when Pat Shurmur was the head coach there, it was very conservative. And I don't like conservative game plans. I like balls to the wall, sort of not reckless, but really aggressive play calling. I like you to put, the defense in a bind to take the fight to the defense. And that's what the Giants did in the Carolina game. Eli Manning showed signs that he still has arm talent. I thought Eli was almost totally done. Eli Manning showed that he's going to play out the rest of this year. He was making elite level throws down the field, dropping some dimes late in that game, playing aggressive football. There was a miscommunication on a Sterling Shepard route, and then Eli drove the Giants down the field beautifully, and then he just made a mistake in the red zone where everything is condensed. Those two parts weren't perfect, but the bottom line is I'll take 326 yards, I'll take 30 points of offense, and I'll take 2 touchdowns, even if it comes with having a couple of interceptions. I'll take Eli Manning taking those deep shots all day long because the offense was totally explosive, and that's a credit to Pat Shurmur. I do give credit to Beckham in the sense that he spoke in front of the team. So Beckham did well in that regard. The touchdown catches, speaking in front of the team, that was better, okay? So Beckham does get credit there. Some people that real people that don't like a certain player or whatever, they might not ever give a player credit. But I just dissect each situation, and Beckham going to the team helped the situation. But Pat Shurmur, the 2 question marks on him again. Could Pat Shurmur galvanize a locker room? Could he lead a group of men? Could he inspire? Could he get into their, could he really bring his coaching, and can he motivate guys? That's the key word. Could Pat Shurmur motivate guys? And Pat Shurmur, in that presser after the game, the press conference, he showed that he's running a tight ship, that he is running a no BS, finito sort of ship. And the finito line was a mic drop. Pat Shurmur was outstanding. So I wondered, did Pat have any heart? Was he apathetic and didn't care? Because other press conferences, he was half dead. He was almost like a robot in the other press conferences. You can barely hear his voice or his cadence. In the press conference that we had in Carolina, Pat was forceful, firm, aggressive, a little angry, had that chip on his shoulder, and he came out in that press conference with some urgency. He called the game really nicely. He showed that he can throw deep down the field. So Pat Shurmur now is showing everything. He's showing that he can be a versatile offensive coordinator that can either run the ball between the tackles and instill toughness, or he can air it out. So Pat Shurmur is versatile. When I questioned his versatility because I thought he was only a check down guy and he wouldn't throw deep at all. So I questioned Pat, and Pat did great. Again, Pat was very mature in the press conference again. One of the great press conferences. Very proud of Pat Shurmur. All in on Pat Shurmur right now and this Giants regime. So very proud. Again, one of the great moments in Giants history. If this season turns out to be a division title, if this team is a playoff team this year, when we win playoff games with Pat Shurmur, you can look back on the Shermer regime and that day in Carolina, this whole entire week in this game and this season and the week specifically, the Carolina Panthers week, that really changed the course of maybe Pat Shurmur's legacy and maybe the course of the franchise. Because it was kind of a fork in the road there with everything that was going on. So, very proud of Pat. That's basically what the memo of this video was about. Thank you guys for watching.